Welcome to another edition here on the Dakotan's Election Central. I'm Jonathan Starr. Today I am joined by Chuck Whalen. Thank you for joining us today, Chuck.
It's nice being here today, Jonathan.
Absolutely. So before we jump into the politics and all the wonderful things we get to talk about today, let's start off. Who's Chuck? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of North Dakota. I grew up on a farm in the middle of North Dakota around the Glenfield, Cooperstown, Carrington area. Lived there for a number of years before I went off to college in Grand Forks. Lived there for a number of years. Eventually moved to the Fargo, West Fargo area where I worked as an accountant for a company. Got married to my wife, Joy. I have 5 children, 19 grandchildren. We're
Wow,
18 and the 19th on the way, actually.
that's fantastic.
Um, been keeping busy. I've been across the state a bunch. I've worked in real estate for a while. I
Okay.
worked selling insurance for a while, an entrepreneur, and back in accounting again.
Yeah,
I've I lived in the Fargo, West Fargo area for over 30 years. Then I moved up here to Newtown in about 2011. So been up here for 12, 13 years now. What brought me here is working for United Quality as their accountant. And my daughter and son-in-law and their kids live about 20 miles away from here. And that's what brought me up to this area.
that's fantastic. UND grad, correct?
Not a grad, but I attended University of North Dakota for a number of
Very good.
years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Very cool. Go. Well, I guess now it's Fighting Hawks, but you gotta love the camaraderie that University of North
Listen,
Dakota brings to this to the state of North Dakota.
yeah, it was the Fighting Sioux
It was
when
the
I
Fighting. So there we go. I like it. All right. So what prompted your decision to get into politics and run for District 4, the Senate seat?
well, for the politics, I've been involved since Reagan became president. Was interested at that time when I was in college, and when we moved to Fargo, West Fargo area, I became ran for the West Fargo School Board, won that, served there for a while, and then got more involved, became the vice chair for District 22.
Okay.
After serving there, I moved up here to Newtown and went to District 4 and ran and became the vice chair for District 4. After that was the chairman for District 4.
Right.
And after that, I was the Northwest region chairman for the state for the Republican Party for 4 to 6 years. I can't remember if it's 6 years or 4 years, but at least
Yep.
four, and I'm pretty sure it was 6.
Wow.
So I've
That's
been
incredible.
involved in politics a long time.
A long time. So why the decision to run for the Senate seat in District 4?
I've been wanting to run for the Senate seat for many, many years. My past employers have always said, nope, we can't have you away from work for 4 months during the session. Otherwise, they would have let me.
Yeah.
So now with my current employer, he says, yes, you can run.
There you
And,
go.
and since Jordan Kainiainen, my son-in-law, is retiring, and I'm the one who got him involved in politics to begin with, he says, well, why don't you take my place? And I said, yes, I'll do that.
Let's do it. So this brings up an interesting question. Is there a fundamental problem? Maybe not fundamental, might not be the correct word, but is there a problem? You said that a long time ago you would have wanted to run for that Senate seat, but work doesn't allow it. Should there be full-time lawmakers in North Dakota?
Our state doesn't need full-time lawmakers. We need
Mhm.
people who live at home, work in the community, know the people, and then can go serve for a short period of time. And they know that the laws they're going to make or the decisions they're going to make affect everyone, including themselves.
It's very good. What are as you've jumped into the race this year, what are some of the key issues that you are campaigning on?
One of the things I want to make sure is that people have their individual rights and that their property rights are respected.
Okay.
Also, that property taxes, I'm of the opinion that property taxes are like rent. You never really own your property because if you don't pay your property tax, they're going to take it away from you. So I'd gladly love to see that measure that's being circulated right now, that they get enough signatures and that would pass. And
Right.
if it does, that the state would at least, if it doesn't pass, that the state would at least take on 100% of the school taxes so that there's none of this playing games with it like they're doing now. One year they'll pass that, yeah, you cut the tax by a certain amount, but then the townships and the counties, they'll come in and, oh, we can raise it by this amount because people are used to paying that, and it never really reduces because that's still on the plate.
Yeah, the in property tax measure is something that has garnered a lot of attention this go around, and a lot of people are highlighting that in their conversations that we've had with them. Tell us more a little bit about your opinion on it. You said you're for it, but there's also the fear that this is going to be making some city budgets tight and other budgets tight. How do you see the actual execution of this?
From what I see, it's not going to change local control one bit. What will happen is the state will give the county or the political entity the money that they would have gotten from property taxes that are currently there. If they need additional funds, they cannot use property tax for any additional funds above that amount that's currently set. They have to find another source to get it, whether it be through an additional income tax, not necessarily the right way, or through a sales tax or a use tax of some type, but it won't be property tax. So the
Absolutely.
local control will remain with the people.
Very good. Are there any other issues that you are campaigning on?
I'd like to make sure that our rights as far as guns or weapons are maintained. I think that the federal government is wrong in having any law whatsoever against the use or possession of a weapon. It doesn't matter whether it be a shotgun, a handgun, a grenade. The Constitution says that we have the right to bear arms,
Hmm.
and it's not to be infringed upon. And it's being infringed upon every day by every rule and law that they make.
Very good. Very good. So you get elected. We talk about in a presidential race, we talk about their first 100 days in office. What are you going to actually get done when if you get elected as the for the Senate's position in District 4? What are some of the things that you're going to go to Bismarck and when the time's appropriate, you're going to go to bat for it immediately?
One of the things is education, make sure that we're properly funding education. So going back to the property tax, that we do that as a state as 100%. And then the other issues I'll be working on is like the poor space, where that's individual property rights. It's that the individual property owner should have the right to that, not someone that leases those, unless they are specifically spelled out. So it would be those two things in particular are what I'd really want to focus on. But because of my background selling real estate, having been across this whole state, being in insurance, being an accountant, having lived on a farm, I'm very familiar with many different areas. And it depends on what they assign me to when we get there as to what I'll be
Absolutely.
able to do.
Right. Are there any bills or measures that you intend to get on uh, get voted on, and maybe that's revealing secrets because I know that there's some strategy and all that stuff, but is there anything like that that you're considering?
There are things that I'm considering, but I don't want to mention yet.
Exactly. Absolutely. I respect that. Very good. So we've had this come up, and North Dakota politics is interesting because and it's in general it happens, but it seems like it could happen more frequently in North Dakota. You see people flip flopping parties, and sometimes that happens because they feel like it aligns with them better. They change. They actually change some values in their life, or feels like that might get them elected better. So I have a question for you. What makes you a Republican?
I am consider myself a constitutional conservative that goes for property rights, individual freedoms, the right to bear arms, that the parents should be in charge of their children's education, and that they should watch that the family is in charge, not the government. And I want to make sure that that stays that way. Uh, we definitely need quality education. We need to be held accountable for what we talk about and what laws we pass. One of the things I plan to do is visit with my constituents in this area if I'm endorsed and I win the seat, that I'm following what the majority of this area wants within reason, that it falls within the parameters of our platform and my beliefs.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of change in North Dakota politics in the last year. We've seen our state chair have a switchover. We, or I shouldn't say we've seen that. The Republicans have seen the state chair switch over. Um, we've seen our governor announce that he's no longer going to run for a third term. We have seen our state representative say he's going to run for that governor position. Of course, there's two other candidates for that governor position, Coachman as an independent and Hipshner as a Democrat. And then we've seen some candidates fill in for the House position that Kelly Armstrong would be vacating. We've seen Rick Becker, Tom Campbell, and Trigby Hammer. Is North Dakota politics a little bit unstable right now?
No, not really. You're Since you have a majority on the Republican side and a minority on the Democrat side, the Republicans, we have such a big group that we're going to have differences with each other, just like families do. You know, I look at my daughter and my grandchildren in the one family, there's 12 in there, and they get along and then they fight and they get along and they fight. And it's the same way with the Republican Party. We get along and we have our disagreements. But if you look overall, we're pretty much in agreement with 85 to 90% of what we're talking about. There's only maybe 5 to 10%, maybe 15 at the outside that we even disagree with. Being the
Right.
Northwest chairman, I served with Perry Schaefer on the executive board, and he's a good person, but there are disagreements, and I disagreed with him quite a bit once in a while.
Yeah.
And but we agreed on almost 90% of everything that was there. There was very little that we didn't agree on.
Right. So basically, you're saying fundamentally there's an agreement within the Republican Party, but there's just some issues that come in that's where the disagreements happen, which would be a natural thing.
Correct.
Here's a deal: iron sharpeneth iron. So it's a good thing that there's disagreements every once in a while, just as long as it doesn't take away from the effect of the whole thing. And that's I will ask you this: is some of these problems that are uprising, do they get more attention because, like you said, for a while there's been a majority uh, of Republicans in the key positions in the state? So has this created more of an uprising within the party than if it was a very competitive state between the two parties?
I don't know if it's more competitiveness, but it definitely helps that we have opposing views within the party so that we can work them out and then come out in agreements together as what's the best way. Because, like you said, if you have two opposing forces with each other, usually the best outcome will come out of that.
Right. Absolutely. So if people in District 4 want to support you, how can they do that? And why should they vote for Chuck Whalen?
Well, they should vote for me because I have experience. I listen to people, and I'm going to go around and ask for their opinion. To contact me, they can reach me on my email, which is chuckwallen@gmail.com. Very simple. And if they want to call me, my number is out there, but 701-421-2262 is my cell number. I don't have a website yet. I plan to have one here in the near future. And I look
Absolutely.
forward to, and please come to our endorsing convention which is next Monday, not this Monday, but next Monday in Garrison at the Senior Citizen Center. That's going to be our endorsing and our delegate selection. And if they want to get involved, that's the place to do it if they're from District 4, whether they're in 4A or 4B.
So that'll be February 19th.
Correct. At 5 p.m.
February 19th, 5 p.m. in Garrison. The endorsing convention for District 4. Well, really appreciate you coming on today, Chuck, and just talking about a little bit about you and about your reasons for running this year.
Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. To our viewers, thank you for watching this episode here, part of the Dakotan's Election Central coverage of the 2024 election cycle in North Dakota. Be sure to go to mydakotan.com, click on Election Central, and there you'll find a database of most of the candidates in North Dakota, and we are populating that database with interviews just like the one you watched today. Thank you for watching this. Be sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, become part of the Dakotan community. Thank you, and have a great day.